Just no one. I have to do it because no one is getting stuff like this. And people don't know that these things are like all around us and we should not throw trash in the water. It's like, it's crazy.
Yo!
Just found the isopod of my dreams.
What?
I hate how it feels on my feet. I don't like it. After almost 2 years of thinking about breeding and, pushing the isopod agenda, this whole time there's been one frustration in my mind. The isopods that I currently have, I cannot identify to the species level. This led me to a lot of reading about all the isopods basically in North America and abroad, even having a little live stream chat with my friend from over the pond, Let's Scope It Out, comparing the different species that we had access to. The best guess I could do with the isopods I had was try and do a little bit of an estimate of which genre they're in, which I think is probably Lirceus for a variety of reasons, but that's a whole nother video. For me, it became a priority to find an isopod in the wild, local to me, that I could confidently determine the species of. My search for aquatic isopods took me all around my local area. In those streams, those puddles, I looked through leaves, I looked through mud, I looked on rocks, and for the most part, all I found were scuds and a couple of aquatic isopods that I think were probably the genus of Conocellus, previously known as Acidota, maybe a Conocellus communis, something like that. And it was interesting. There were scuds everywhere that I found isopods. I went to Pennsylvania and I looked around there to see what kind of isopods I could find. Didn't find the one I was looking for yet, but there again too, every time I found isopods, I also found scuds, which was pretty interesting. Now, after reading through a lot of papers, looking at different samples from areas local to me, dating all the way back to like the early 1900s, I came across the perfect candidate, an isopod that looks so unique and it has a specific enough of a distribution that if I came across it, if I followed some of the reports of where it should be found, then I would be able to pretty confidently make a educated guess on the species it was. So, what stood out to me about the candidate that I determined for this was that one, it was Lirceus, which is the genus that I was most familiar with. And second, it kind of looked way different than the isopods I had. It was chunkier, it was bigger. It reminded me of the terrestrial isopods a lot more. And then another thing is it seemed to really like being in spring water, some moving water. So it kind of narrowed down the places that I could look for it at. My theory was basically anywhere that there's water near me with reasonable quality, I would likely find some aquatic isopods. And for the most part, they did actually turn out, but not yet finding the one that I was looking for.
Wait, you're leaving already?
Huh?
We're leaving?
Down that way.
Oh.
Now, my first journey, if you are familiar with my live streams, I was looking in some spring water and came across some quicksand that ended up with me losing my phone, finding no isopods, and being a very sad isopod agenda soldier. But on the second attempt, instead of trying to find my own unique collection point, I read up and found a place that this species had been actually sighted before. Now, the species name is Lirceus Brachyurus, and I'll put up a photo of them here. It's just beautiful, man. This is an isopod I think looks really cool. Kind of reminds me more of the terrestrial ones. Has goofy eyes. My eyes were set on it. My heart was set on this isopod. So I had to find this isopod, this exact one. And I wouldn't be happy until I did. I went out to go and search for it.
We're saving the environment. We are picking up trash.
No, I was smart. I was just taking a net underneath this and just go woo.
Why didn't we? Nope.
I said if I was smart. We pulled up out of the car, and I've been through quicksand. I've been through freezing water. I've been through mud. And I'm like, what am I going to have to go through to get to this isopod? And surprisingly, it was pretty easy. As I'm walking down the road to the water where I'm going to be looking for the first time, this is my first approach, first sight. I'm noticing a few things, taking note of the plants that are around, taking note of the environment.
There is a suspicious amount of fur on the ground over here, though, so. A suspiciously spine-shaped plant.
You seen anything alive? You know, it's by a road. You know, there's a little underpass the water's going through, moving at a pretty decent rate. Some cool algae strands, some cool plants floating in the water, a couple of big birds that we saw. When I look back to the water, the spring water I was following when I fell in the quicksand, I remember seeing a bunch of mayfly larvae. I remember seeing a bunch of dragonfly larvae, a bunch of things that I would probably consider to be predators of the isopods. So for me, I was looking for a spot where I didn't see as many predators, a spot with some leaves, a spot with some rocks, and some wood just all laid around. And when I came to the site, I was happy to find all of those things. Looking for isopods in other places I didn't see, and the mayfly larva, dragonfly larva, don't mean it's not there. I just didn't happen to see as many of them as I did before. Now, kind of a cut to the chase, on the first single leaf that I turned over, I actually found the isopod I was looking for, staring right at me. Just found the isopod of my dreams, Lirceus Brachyurus.
Let me see him. Come on, let me get it. Yeah.
What I wasn't prepared for is there was another species occurring with it. I found my isopod that I've been searching for, that I'd sacrificed the whole phone to, although that was pretty much my fault. Here's some interesting things I noticed. So, one is that these guys, while I found tons of them on the leaf packs with the other co-occurring species, which I'm guessing is probably a Conocellus, or I think what was Sasiodota, there's a lot of them on rocks. I mean, there was one piece of wood that I turned over that had about 50 of them on it. I mean, just tons of them in a tight space. They really were crammed together, and actually, a lot of the females, I was noticing a bunch of females on this piece of wood had eggs, were visibly gravid. So I'd come at just the right time to find them all kind of hiding, waiting for their babies to arrive. Something else that I noticed, of course, is not a surprise to me. The water was moving at a decent pace in some areas. I walked a little bit up this little stream here to see if I found them closer to where the water was moving faster, and I did. I did find them up to where the water was moving. And yeah, I don't know.
No rolling.
Oh, this is what I was looking for. You see all of them?
No, I do not. Oh, whoa, there's definitely something moving on there.
Look over here. Now, I'm not really a big fan of sampling things, taking things from the wild and bringing them back, but I was hoping to add this isopod to a list of species that I bred and kept and maybe spread around. I did have a good, strong colony growing. I had a bunch of babies, as most of them had eggs. Unfortunately, when I was changing my fish room around, my airline got disconnected. I didn't notice, and I crashed the whole colony. Now, luckily, I gave some to a friend when I first got them. I split the colony. His colony is going strong, so we're seeing what we learned from that. Just keeping it in a basic little plastic bin, and they've been going crazy for him. So I do think that eventually I'll add them to the list of isopods for the isopod agenda, but you know, doing this kind of thing, it does make me nervous. I don't want people to go raiding their local waterways for isopods. There's all sorts of issues you can have with that. And I definitely try to be as methodical about not only disturbing as little as possible, but just bringing as little as possible back with me. I mean, you'll see some of the biggest scuds, biggest planaria you've ever seen, some cyclops, some copepods. Some of those cyclops and stuff are pretty predatory, actually, and can eat fish eggs and small fry. So, you got to be careful with these kind of things. But I feel like I learned a lot. It The search pushed me to read a lot more. I already was, but read a lot more to make sure I understood what I was looking for, make sure I understood the role in the environment, some of the things going on there. This is an isopod that's a little bit different. It's clinging to rocks, it's clinging in the fast water. It moves a little differently. The way that they carry the females is different than my isopods. Their guarding period is very short. These isopods, kind of like scuds, they carry the females underneath them everywhere, and it's kind of crazy to watch. So very pretty cool isopod. I'm trying to find more. I want to do more species specific spotlights so we can actually put a name to some of these isopods that we're looking at videos of and things like that. So I'm not trying to go and collect every single species. I don't really like collecting that much. It's a lot of work, in my opinion, to do it in a way that makes me feel comfortable having that in my fish room. But I do want to go out, find more isopods, look at their environment so we can learn more about how we could better keep them in our aquariums, and also just learn more about the waterways around us and things, of that nature. Some people really like to collect rocks and wood from nature, and I, I've read that the rocks and the wood were habitats for small critters, but when I went out and I picked up a piece of wood and there was five, there's like 100 isopods on that one piece of wood. It really clicked with me that things that we see as minor could really be the difference between 20 isopods and 800 in the area. I mean, you pick up a piece of driftwood that's by the water, that driftwood may eventually make it into the water and be an important habitat for the creatures that live in it. You go in there and you pick it up, that never happens. Now, of course, I'm not saying every time you go collect a rock or a piece of wood that you're just demolishing the environment, but it did give me a better appreciation for being mindful of how I treated things as I went about looking for isopods. So if you do happen to go out into nature to look for some isopods, either collect or just observe, just remember to be respectful of the area. Try to leave as little evidence that you were there as possible. And by that, I mean try to just not jack everything up. And if you do happen to collect some and bring them back, make sure you're complying with all your state's local laws. Make sure you're being conscious of cross-contamination. And also remember, as soon as you bring something into our home environment, you can never put it back outside, okay? The cross-contamination, from what I understand, is a big deal. So anything you ever bring back into your aquarium, never, ever put that back into nature, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a fun journey looking for some isopods. I learned a lot, and I'll have to see you guys next time. Big year for the isopod agenda coming up. Shout out to all my isopod slingers out there. I know Phillips Fish Works, he's got more species of isopod he's slinging. My buddy Conrad Aquapods LLC, he's always slinging some high quality pods. And Captain's Critters, Captain's Critter go crazy with the Lirceus and the Daphia and all that kind of stuff. So look, big year for the isopod agenda. More people are keeping talking about and also having available for purchase aquatic freshwater isopods than ever before. And I hope to see that trend continue. So this has been In My Tanks Isopod Agenda. I'm out.